that a little bit with Professor Authoritative. He's in studio with me. But for now, let's get a little bit of what's happening still in Busia County and bring in Trix Ngado. Trix, good afternoon. You guys have been doing a very good job since morning. What are you hearing on the ground? Okay, so we seem to be having some hitch hearing what Trix is saying, but Trix is on the ground. She's working alongside Duncan Haemba. They are in Busia County. We have Murimi Mwangi in Machakos County, where we do know that vote county has begun. And of course, we have Chris Tairu in Bungoma as well. So we'll try and find out what's happening in those three areas with the ODM primary. So in studio, like I mentioned, we have Professor Authoritative. Professor, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Worldview.
Thank you for having me.
Let's begin with what's happening in Busia. The allegations that are being made between Ojemong and Otuoma. What are your thoughts? First of all, one says this one is a Jubilee mole, this one is a Jubilee candidate. What are your thoughts?
First and foremost, Lillian, there is an interesting trend that I noticed as I watched them speak, the body language. The body language was very telling. Otuoma had something serious to say about an event that had taken place. You could see from the rest of his body signals, the facial expressions, you could see that he was dispelling what looks like a falsehood. And he was expressing it naturally, non-emotionally. Now, my reading of the governor's body language was different. He had a prepared script that he was simply repeating. This is the Jubilee Mall. This is the Jubilee Mall. He was not propagating his record over the 4 years, since he's the one who has something to defend.
He's the incumbent.
He's the incumbent. So he was not propagating that. He was just reciting a simplistic, contrived narrative which he thinks will appeal to the voters. That suggests then that the election is very, very close. It is not...
You think?
I think.
Yeah.
Because one thinks if he focuses on his record, it's bound to be wanting. So he doesn't want to go there.
So he's sort of diverting attention.
Yes, diverting. He's doing a Trump in it. You know, Trump does that very successfully. He's doing a Trump. Secondly, if you look at the documents that Otuoma was focusing on, clearly a layman will not tell the difference. So as far as I'm concerned, it's apparent that something about discrediting the other candidate is in the works. So overall, from what I know about those two constituencies, not a lot, but the little I know, from looking at the numbers, from looking at ethnic composition
of the region,
at the moment, along that context, Otuoma has an edge. He has an edge.
Okay, but then...
But the governor has incumbency. So it's really...
Do you really think the power of incumbency will work here?
What a power of incumbency always has what you call the inner lane. It has the inner lane in any competition.
Okay, several African countries would dispute that.
And let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Those are recent examples, but we can go backwards and say there are other examples.
Yeah.
Now, you see, the critical aspect of this thing, whether it is power of incumbency or branding, is the election going to be held freely and fairly so that everybody who is entitled to vote is allowed to vote, is not diverted along the road when they are heading to the ballot box, is not given extraneous propaganda so that you change their mind. But the thing is, in general, if a free and fair election is conducted, that election is closed. It's closed in the sense that it is no longer based on the original negotiated democracy.
You know, it must be very close because, like you said, there's a lot of discrediting, there's a lot of propaganda to a point where the cover page, alleged cover page of a newspaper, a renowned newspaper, apparently had the headlines that Otuoma had defected to
yes.
Jubilee. Of course, Daily Nation have refuted that. They said
Yes.
that did not come from them. But they're going now a notch high in terms of discrediting. I mean, to a point where you use a paper like Daily Nation. Really, what's happening?
Pressure. The governor is feeling electoral pressure, campaign pressure. In other words, there are certain, you see, you are seeing this without the election, without the campaign. You are seeing this without the campaign, just to call people to line up and give them a chance.
Yeah.
Now, if you are seeing this without an official campaign period, there is already a display of considerable fear of the other candidate. Because if that thing was disowned, that front page was disowned by the nation, it means then...
Yeah, they actually did.
Yes.
They did.
Then, yeah, they have disowned it. What it means, clearly, Lillian, is that...
I'm trying to look for their statement.
yes,
So just go on.
the incumbent is certainly worried about the possible outcome of that election.
Of what will happen.
What will happen. And don't forget that in the past, the incumbent and the challenger were both very close to the ODM leader. Then the challenger made the mistake of joining Ababu Namwamba, and he stepped a bit out of line.
And actually, the analysts were saying that is the line they're now using.
Yes,
but you see,
yes.
he left and then he came back.
Yes.
So you can't trust him.
Yes. You know, in politics, that's an expensive error. That kind
No,
of...
but aren't you allowed to make mistakes in politics?
Let's put it this way. In politics, you are allowed several types of mistakes.
Okay.
You are allowed to make a mistake, all right, which you can use to wear the gown of your electorate. You can make a mistake, but who you wear their gown, they forgive you. Then you can make a mistake where your competitors feel that has provided an opportunity, an opening for attack. Then there is another one which you make, all right, and it has no impact either way. Whether
You're
you
good,
make
whichever way.
people will say, well, this guy normally is sober, this guy normally is reasonable, is honest. Well, everybody makes mistakes. Now, in this particular case, the underlying mechanism that is propelling both parties is ethnic. Is ethnic.
Okay.
So, from purely the ethnic card, that's where Otuoma has the edge.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
the dynamics of that ethnicity, considering that Ojamong's deputy comes from Otuoma's,
Yeah.
all right, that is likely to draw a few more votes. So that's the reason why I'm saying that this race is fairly tight.
Wow. Okay, so do you think the mistake, quote unquote, that Otuoma made may cost him?
It is an expensive mistake, but it's not fatal.
Ah, nice. Okay. So
It's
it's
not
expensive,
fatal.
it's not fatal.
It's not fatal.
All right. So just stay with me because now we're looking at Busia, we're looking at Bungoma, we're looking at Machakos. So